Hello and welcome back to another English podcast with Paul. Under an hour, unedited and unscripted, although I have a few notes. Okay, so diving right into it. Today, we're talking about Rover versus Trusted House Sitter. So, what is Rover, I hear you ask? Well, let me just show you here on my screen. So, Rover is an application, a platform online where people locally can look for somebody to sit and look after their dog, maybe for an evening, maybe for a weekend, or even a few weeks, as well as sitting with the dog and taking the dog out. Maybe there are other things that are needed doing as well. So, for example, they might ask you to water the plants whilst they've gone away on holiday. You can also offer other services. So there's dog walking, dog sitting. They thing called a drop-in, where like if you're at work all day, but you want somebody to come in and feed the dog at lunchtime and let the dog out for a little walk or in the garden. You can do like a 15-minute block or a half-hour block, something like that, or even an hour. It's up to you. So this platform called Rover is very much for people to make their own small business, like a side hustle, if you will, a small business. Some people, especially in America, have turned it into a big full-time business, and they're making a lot of money from it. So I've mentioned America. It is available around the world, as far as I'm aware, much like Trusted House Sitter. I think Trusted House Sitter has a much bigger reach across the world. So looking after somebody's house and often their dog while they're away on holiday, vacation. So I've used both, or rather I've not used both. I've been, what do you call it, like a mini or micro trader on both. I've been on Trusted House Sitter and I'm on Rover. So as I said, how does it work then? How does it work? Right, okay, so Rover is, let's start with Trusted House Sitter, because that's where I started, Trusted House Sitter. I've got experience with walking dogs, and I've had my own dogs. And when I came to the UK, back from traveling, I needed somewhere to live, somewhere to stay. And I thought to myself, well, I've lived in a van before, a camper van, so that's not a problem. But I'd like to live in a house if I can. It would be better, especially if I don't have to pay rent, because I didn't have a job. Well, I had a job. I was working online, teaching English. But I thought if I could stay in people's houses, and this is where I found Trusted House Sitter. Now, Trusted House Sitter, you pay a fee per year, and I think I paid something like £150 for the year. And that gives you access to a vet on the telephone and insurances in case the homeowner cancels last minute or something else happens and you're in charge of their house and their pets. So you pay a small fee yourself, and also the homeowner pays a small fee as well. And then that's it. There's no money exchange between people. It's basically free. You put in your area, and you put in what you're willing to do. So for example, I'm not willing to look after horses, but I can look after chickens, for example. I'm happy to water the plants, look after dogs, look after cats, and also, like I said, the things that you're not willing to do. So this platform, Trusted House Sitter, it's for people like me to meet up with people that want to go on holiday, or people that want just somebody to come and walk their dog. And so this platform gives a place for you to find somebody else to message and spend time with. And what often happens, what I've done, is after I've got a message from somebody saying, are you available on the 15th of this month or that month? I normally message them back, and my calendar is online as well. So on that platform, they can see the calendar. So they kind of know that you're available, but they say, are you available to come to my house in this town and look after my two beautiful dogs, for example? And I would message back, that sounds great. Would you like to set up a video meeting, a video chat, maybe on WhatsApp, something like that? And they would normally say yes, and then we'd have a conversation. They would meet me. They would ask me some questions about, are you happy with big dogs? Are you happy with giving medication? Are you happy? Have you got a pair of Wellington boots because it's muddy? Things like that, things like that. And then I would ask them some questions. How well does the dog get on with other dog and people and children? Things like that. I normally have a list of questions. And then often I would visit the house maybe a week or two before they go on holiday, just to make sure, one, it's a legitimate location, you know, they're really actually there, and two, that some of the things they said is real. So, for example, they say, oh yeah, we got a great big garden and a nice house and all these things, and you go there and you just, you know, get to know the dogs a little bit, introduce yourself to the dogs, they get to recognize you, and you make a bit of a bond with the people and the dogs, and see that the house is legitimate and real. Now, sometimes you don't visit the house. Sometimes the owner is like, well, I'm going away this weekend, can you come? And I've accepted occasionally. And I've found now from experience that's not a good idea. That's not good, taking a booking without visiting the house. I've been to one or two houses that were not as advertised, not as explained, but actually those were on another site. But it's still the same experience, and the reason why I always visit. Now, to be fair, when I started, I was going all around the southwest of the country, lots of different towns. So it wasn't really easy to spend a couple hours popping over to another town or city just to have a conversation again, to ratify and regurgitate what we've already spoken about in the video call. So that's normally the process. They send me a message, we have a video chat, I go round for a meet and greet, and then also in that meet and greet I ask other questions, you know, about like the electric or about the water or the gas or anybody coming in, because normally you've got the house to yourself, because there's no good you being in the bath and then the doorbell rings that the gardener is coming to cut the grass and spend a few hours in the back garden if you're in the bath. Anyway, so that's normally the order of things, and then we normally arrive, or I normally arrive just as they're ready to go, you know, sort of half hour before, so they know I'm there early and ready. And that's generally it. And you follow the instructions. I always ask them to write stuff down, and then I just follow the instructions and have a nice week or weekend or a couple of evenings. So that's how it works on Trusted House Sitter. Now, Rover is much the same in the actual nuts and bolts of it. So I still do the interviews, the conversations, and the meeting and things like that. The only difference with Rover is you set your own prices. You are your own business, so to speak. So you can advertise, have a little QR code, and they pay through the app. The people that want you to stay pay through the app, and the company and app hold on to the money until you both have given each other a review, and you normally get the money within a few days after staying. You know, they make sure everything's all right. You haven't had a big party in the house and, you know, smashed it up or anything like that. All right, so that's basically the way it goes on Trusted House Sitter and on Rover. But on Rover, you get paid for each either for each place you go to and stay, and or you can get paid per dog. So if you have a set price for one dog, then that's one price. But if you turn up and then there's 2 dogs, oh, my sister's coming with us and her pet sitter let her down. So is it all right if the dog stays here with you? Things like that have happened. So it's worth having it written down and agreed in advance, because otherwise you feel awkward. But I generally just go with the flow and be happy, because it's much more valuable to me that I get a good review. Now, for example, well, I'll go on to some of the reviews and some of the experiences afterwards. But Trusted House Sitter is really good. You get the insurance, you know there's a vet on call, and it's kind of free. You know, it's kind of free, so it's done on trust and you know, like a bit of a friendship. Whereas Rover is more of a small business. You get paid per pet, or you get paid per each night you spend there. And again, it's about reviews, but it's a small business. So there's 2 different ways of doing the same thing. But for me, it gave me somewhere to stay. Now, I could fill up my calendar a lot quicker and easier on Trusted House Sitter, because once the owner has paid the company, they get to use it as many times as they like at no extra charge for that year. And likewise, I get to stay in somebody's house much more frequently, and it's a lot less hassle and stress. You don't have to worry about money and things like this. And it's a little bit more forgiving, a bit more relaxed, Trusted House Sitter. But like I said, with Rover, because people are paying, they expect more. And it's less frequent. Until you live in one area. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm staying in one area in Somerset, in the south of England, to promote myself and become more accessible and seen. You know, I've been to the local dog walking areas where they have a little coffee shop. I've been to the pet shops, and I do try and engage as much as possible with other people with dogs. I don't actively shout about the business, but if people ask me, then I tell them about it. And I have a few posters put out. So, and again, on Rover, I also have a calendar and a schedule, so people can see, you know, if I'm suitable to their needs and if I'm available. Right. So that's the 2 platforms. That's the 2 platforms. And I've explained most of the differences. So it's looking after dogs or cats or rabbits or lizards or snakes or whatever the pet may be. Looking after those whilst the owners go away on a holiday. Now, some people are, like, for example, on Trusted House Sitter, because it's free once they've paid their yearly deposit and insurances. They can use it as many times as they like. I've seen adverts on there for 2-3 months. So people might go visit some family in Australia for a few months. Somebody might want to go off traveling for a few months. And so I was booked, long story, but I was going to go and stay at a home for 2.5 months over the winter, which would have been ideal, would have been perfect. Anyway, so that's the 2 main differences, and that's the 2, my brief rundown of it. Okay, would I recommend it? Yes, I would. It also depends on your availability and what you've got going on in between. So now I found it wasn't what's the word, reliable enough to have just Trusted House Sitter and work a little bit online. I needed a little bit more money. So I moved from Trusted House Sitter over to Rover, and I'm building up my clients, my friends on Rover. And I have a small part-time job. So I've got supplementary income, plus I've got a lot of free time during the day because of my part-time job. And now I just work for Rover, or for myself through Rover on the weekends and the school holidays, because that's when I work. I work in the school terms. My head feels a bit low here. My van roof is coming down a little bit. Well, it's not coming down, it's just material hanging down. It used to be glued up, but the heat has made the glue come off, and so now it hangs down a little bit. But it's still fine, I can still sit up. All right, we digress. Okay, so I would recommend it if you want it to substitute a part-time job. It fits well for me. It may fit well for you. You can stipulate that you only want to work weekends, or you only want to work on the holidays. All right, so it is flexible. So that's a big key advantage. It's flexible. You can set your own price on Rover, and you can turn people away. You can say, to be honest, I don't think that I would be the best fit for you and your pets at this time. And there's no animosity towards each other if you refuse. So you're not have to serve and go to every single job. So right, what was I going to say then? So then it comes down to reviews. Excuse me. Reviews are very important for this kind of work because it's an online business and because it's about people. But people can be very subjective. You might think that you left the house very, very tidy. Somebody else might think that there was, I don't know, you didn't put away the chopping board, or you didn't hang up the dog's leads where they belong, or the dogs were a little bit dirty because you took them out for a walk in the mud and didn't clean them off sufficiently for the owner. So the reviews can be a bit hit and miss, which is a bit of a shame, because a small thing, or if you don't agree 100% with what the owner says with the house or the dogs or the care, then they could mark you down. So that's the only negative part of Rover. But going on to more negatives, I've got some stories. Now, I've been doing pet sitting now for probably about 7 or 8 months, and at the beginning of that, it was every single week. So I've sat at quite a lot of pets' houses. Pets' houses? Yeah, pets' houses. One house I went to, I didn't get to meet the owner first, or the house, only via video. And so when I turned up, the owner had already gone. And they said, "Oh yeah, I gotta go for my flight. I'm leaving early." Blah blah blah. Oh, okay. And so I was able to let myself in. And it turns out there were builders below in the building underneath. Well, it's all part of one building, but the owner had builders in and said, "Oh yeah, it's fine. They won't disturb you." And at this time, I was working online, teaching English online, and the builders, being builders, having to work, they were drilling every now and then, which was very frustrating when you're in an English lesson with somebody else on the other side of the world. And then occasionally the power would go off. So that means the router, the modem, would be turned off and you'd lose internet. So you'd have to scramble, get your phone up and hope you had good signal on your phone and use your phone as a hotspot. So that was another frustrating thing. And also the water was turned off. Another interesting story was one dog was a very small but powerful breed and wasn't very well trained whatsoever. I followed the instructions. The dog had a cage that he went in at night time and in the daytime for some rest. But the dog didn't want to go in, and the dog was very adamant they weren't going in. And I was quite concerned. I did try to persuade the dog in gently, and the dog was very quick to remind me that it was a powerful, strong dog. You know, it showed me its teeth and gave me a big warning. Oh wow, that worried me. That did. That worried me. I thought, oh, I better be very, very vigilant and very, very careful with this dog. So that was another interesting story. What else do we have? I had a greyhound and a small little terrier. And the owner said, you can let them off in the field, it's fine, they come back, it's okay. And so we're in a big field, isolated, middle of nowhere, in the middle of a countryside. And I let the dogs off, and the greyhound come back, no problem. But the little terrier decided to go where he wanted to go and was off. And so I'm blowing a whistle and then shouting and running around in the wellies in this big field. Oh dear! We eventually got them back, but something I do now. I've got it now. Where are we gonna? Oh, on my keys. What I have now is like a little tracker, a bit like an Apple AirTag, but this is a Samsung version, and I put it on their collar, and I've used it a few times now. I generally put the tag on their collar so I can track them on my phone, and then if it goes out a distance, then it pings when it goes near somebody else's phone. And there's lots of videos online about people doing this with their baggage, and so they can track where the baggage is. Anyway, that's like a Apple AirTag or a Samsung tag, something like that. So that's what I use now. So I've had quite a few funny times. I've stayed in some beautiful houses. I stayed in one house with a hot tub. Now, it's not as romantic as I thought it was gonna be. It was a bit of a chilly day, and we put it on in plenty of time to warm up and get ready. But unfortunately, it was very, very chlorine. You know, the chemicals in the place were not very nice at all. So that was in one place, but it was quite romantic to have a glass of wine. I don't drink, but to sit in this hot tub in the back garden. But when I got out, oh my God, I was freezing because it was like a bath, nice and hot bath and bubbles. And then I got out. I think this was, I don't know, September. So it should have been quite warm, but I got out and goodness me, I nearly went into shock. I was freezing and shivering and because I had to shut the lid down and turn it off and then run in with my towel around me and get dry. But, oh my goodness, I nearly collapsed in shock. Oh well. So anyway, I stayed in another big house which was like 3 or 4 stories high. And now it is a beautiful house. They also had an Airbnb, and we let somebody in for the Airbnb, and they were a nice couple. We got to talking to them, so that was nice. And yeah, there's been quite a lot of nice houses, quite often very big houses, more so on Trusted House Sitter. So Trusted House Sitter seems to be a posher clientele, a more privileged, more financially affluent clientele, whereas Rover tends to be more everyday blue collar workers, regular people that don't want to put their dogs into kennels. But yeah, both are very good. So I would recommend it, assuming it fits your lifestyle. Other side hustles, for example, there are cutting logs or cutting kindling for logs and bagging it up. That can be a good side hustle, especially if you've got a little bit of land or a trailer. You can do that and bag it up. What else we got? Bin washing. Well, we in the UK here have these wheelie bins. So they're quite big bins and they stay outside. And they get pretty disgusting inside. Sometimes your bin bag breaks or something else and it's pretty gross inside. So there are a few people that go around and offer to wash out the inside of the bin with bleach and with other chemicals to make it smell nice and fresh and keep it clean. So the bin washing. Jet washing, so that's quite an easy thing to do, to buy a jet wash, have it on a trailer or in the back of a van and jet wash people's driveways. So that's quite popular here in the UK. Also with that, then you can expand into cleaning gutters and roofs and things like that, cleaning all sorts of things with a jet wash. Again, it's worth getting your own insurance for. What else is there? Photography. Now I've done a little bit of photography now and then, portrait photography for family portraits, what else, pet portraits, and like special occasions, like graduation, things like that. So photography is a good one. You obviously don't get a second chance, so you've got to be good. So you need to get lots of practice before you do that, and obviously you've got to pay for your camera gear. and then you need to pay for it to go into Lightroom, like an editing software, so you can take out bits that you don't want in the photo and make it pop, things like that. So photography is another one, and there's a few more side hustles and small jobs that you can do for yourself, if it helps to supplement your income, and it suits your lifestyle, and you want to make a little bit of money. Let me know what side hustles you have tried in the past, and what worked for you and what works well in your country. Let me know down in the comments. I'd be very interested to find out. All right, so as always, unedited, unscripted, and under an hour. In this case, under half an hour. So you can listen to this on the train or on the car or anywhere. Right, that's it for today. Thanks very much, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.